First contact catastrophe. The orbital monitoring station of Nixia Prime hummed with the soft sounds of advanced technology and the gentle movements of its operators. Chief Observer Thalax's four eyes blinked in unsynchronized patterns as he studied the anomalous readings appearing on his holographic display. His translucent skin pulsed with bioluminescent blues and greens, reflecting his growing concern. "Analysis complete," announced the station's AI in its melodic voice. "Unknown vessel detected at system boundary. Configuration does not match any cataloged design." Thalax's lower appendages twitched nervously. The Nixian civilization had maintained peaceful exploration of their local star cluster for centuries, but their history was marked by subjugation and exploitation. 300 cycles ago, the predatory Zarn hegemony had nearly destroyed their species. Since then, caution had become the foundation of their survival. "Magnification," Thalax ordered, his voice resonating with harmonic undertones that conveyed both authority and anxiety. The central display shifted, revealing a sleek vessel of unfamiliar design. Its hull was dark and angular, bristling with what appeared to be weapon ports. Most alarming was its approach vector, direct and purposeful, heading straight for Nixia Prime. "Intention analysis?" Thalax asked, already dreading the answer. "Insufficient data," replied the AI. "However, vessel configuration suggests significant offensive capabilities. Propulsion method unknown. Energy signatures exceed known technological parameters by factor of 17. Senior communicator Vila glided to Thalax's side, her skin displaying patterns of deep concern. "The Council must be informed immediately. This could be another expansion attempt." Thalax nodded, his crest rising in affirmation. Alert status elevated to Emergency Protocol 7. Begin evacuation procedures for outer colonies. Activate the defense grid. Within moments, the peaceful monitoring station transformed into a crisis command center. Tactical officers rushed to their stations while diplomatic corps members attempted to establish communication with the approaching vessel using every known linguistic algorithm and peace protocol. No response came. Admiral Helena Reyes stood at the viewport of the EDF Thunderchild, Earth's most advanced deep space exploration vessel. At 53, her weathered face reflected decades of service in Earth's unified space forces. The stars stretched before her, countless worlds waiting to be discovered. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Commander Okafor from the communications station. "We're detecting an unusual transmission from Sector 47 Gamma." Reyes moved with practiced efficiency to the central command console. "Define unusual, Lieutenant." "It appears to be an emergency broadcast, ma'am. Not on any known frequency, but the pattern suggests distress. The signal strength is remarkable considering the distance." Science Officer Dr. Chen joined them, her eyes fixed on her tablet display. "The signal originates from a G-type star system, approximately 12 light-years from our position. Our database has it marked as unexplored but potentially habitable." Ray studied the scrolling data. Humanity had ventured into the stars with caution, establishing colonies on Mars, Europa, and Proxima Centauri before pushing farther into the unknown. First contact protocols had been established, but never tested. If this was indeed a distress call from an alien civilization. "Translation progress?" she asked. "The computer is analyzing it now," Okafor replied. "The syntax is complex, but certain patterns suggest universal mathematical principles. Basic meaning appears to be a warning of some kind. Something about an invasion force." Reyes straightened, her military training taking over. "Alert the fleet. I want all 6 vessels at combat readiness. If someone out there is under attack, they may need our help." "Ma'am," interrupted Captain Rodriguez, her second-in-command. "First contact protocols suggest observation only. Protocols also dictate that we render assistance to those in distress," Reyes countered. "Humanity didn't come this far to hide in the shadows while others suffer. We prepare for peace, but stand ready for war." As the Thunderchild's crew sprang into action, Rice couldn't shake the feeling that humanity was about to step onto a much larger stage. What they'd find at the source of that desperate signal would change everything. On Nixia Prime, the Council of Elders gathered in their sacred chamber, their slender bodies trembling with fear beneath ceremonial robes. High Elder Zoral, his skin now pale with age and wisdom, addressed the emergency session. The unknown vessel has not responded to any communication attempts, he stated, his harmonics flat and controlled despite his inner turmoil. Worse, our sensors have detected 5 additional vessels of similar design appearing at the edge of our system. They move in formation, a tactical approach. Counselor Nevin, head of historical preservation, raised a trembling limb. We must remember the Zarn invasion. They too arrived without warning, promising peace while positioning for attack. But we cannot know these beings' intentions without communication, argued Counselor Ixel of the Scientific Consortium. Their technology is unlike anything in our records. Perhaps they cannot decode our signals. High Elder Zoral silenced the debate with a resonant harmonic. We cannot risk the survival of our people on the hope that these unknowns come in peace. Our history teaches us caution. Begin full military mobilization. Deploy the planetary shield. Send emergency signals to our allies in the Celestial Accord. The decision weighed heavily upon the Council. The Nixian people had evolved from prey species, developing intelligence and technology to compensate for their physical vulnerabilities. Their bodies were built for speed and sensory perception, not combat. Their greatest weapons were defensive technologies developed after centuries of occasional exploitation. There is another option, offered Counselor Vela softly, the Ancestral Protocol. A shocked silence fell over the chamber. The Ancestral Protocol was their civilization's last resort, a weapon system so powerful that it had never been deployed, created in the darkest days of the Zarn occupation. We are not there yet, Zoral declared firmly. First, we follow established procedures. If these beings prove hostile, only then will we consider invoking the protocol. As the Council dispersed to their emergency stations, none could know that their distress signals, broadcast across multiple frequencies and carrying mathematical patterns indicating extreme danger, had already been received and misinterpreted by the approaching human vessels. Aboard the Thunderchild, Admiral Rice reviewed the final analysis of the alien transmission. The linguistics team had worked tirelessly to decode its meaning, combining advanced AI pattern recognition with intuitive human interpretation. We believe they're warning about an invasion force, explained Dr. Winters, the lead xenolinguist. The mathematical sequence suggests counting, possibly a countdown to attack, and this recurring pattern here. She highlighted a sequence on her display. It appears to represent multiple aggressive vessels approaching their homeworld. Captain Rodriguez leaned forward. Could they be referring to us? Rice considered this possibility. It's unlikely they'd send a general distress call if they knew exactly who was approaching. No, someone else is threatening these people. Or they're trying to lure us into a trap, suggested Security Chief Vasquez. The universe is vast, Chief, Rice replied. What are the odds that the first alien civilization we encounter would attempt to ambush us specifically? More likely they're facing a genuine threat and have no idea who might receive their call. The command staff fell silent, weighing the implications. Humanity had developed its space fleet with both exploration and defense in mind. The 6 vessels now approaching the alien system represented Earth's finest technology, a perfect balance of scientific instruments and military capability. Taking us out of FTL in 2 minutes, Admiral, announced Navigator Park. Rice nodded. All ships maintain defensive formation Delta. Shields at maximum. Weapon systems on standby only. I want to be prepared but not provocative. As the fleet prepared to emerge into normal space, Rice couldn't help but feel the weight of history upon her shoulders. Humanity's first contact with an alien civilization might well be in the context of war. Not against these unknown beings who had sent the distress call, but against whoever threatened them. 1 minute to reversion, Park announced. "All hands to battle stations," ordered Reyes. "This is not a drill." On Nixia Prime, panic had begun to spread among the population. Despite the Council's efforts to maintain calm, the appearance of 6 unknown vessels approaching their world had triggered ancient survival instincts. Families gathered in emergency shelters while defense forces took up positions around major population centers. In the Orbital Command Center, Chief Observer Thalax watched in horror as the 6 alien vessels decelerated near the 4th planet of their system. "Energy readings are off the scale," reported his sensor technician. "Their deceleration method alone suggests weapons capability beyond our defensive measures." "Have they responded to our warnings?" Thalax asked. "No, Chief, but they've altered their approach pattern. They're spreading out to surround our orbit." Thalax's skin pulsed with alarm patterns, a classic encirclement strategy. "Inform the Council. We must activate the ancestral protocol before they can position for attack." As the emergency authorization codes were transmitted to the surface, Thalax whispered an ancient Nixian prayer. The ancestral protocol had never been used in actual combat. Only its creators knew its true capabilities. All Thalax knew was that it harnessed the quantum properties of their sun itself, weaponizing stellar energy in ways his people had deemed too dangerous for routine use. "May the ancestors forgive us," he murmured as confirmation of the activation sequence flashed across his display. Admiral Reyes felt the tension on the Thunderchild's bridge as the fleet emerged from FTL. Before them lay a beautiful star system, 9 planets orbiting a G-type star similar to Earth's sun. Scans immediately detected the 3rd planet as life-bearing, with clear signs of advanced civilization. "I'm detecting massive energy buildup from the 3rd planet," announced Science Officer Chen urgently. "Pattern suggests weapons system charging." "They're targeting our vessels," confirmed Tactical Officer Levitt. "Incoming transmission. Appears to be final warning." Reyes frowned. This wasn't how she had imagined first contact. "Open a channel. All frequencies. Universal translator active." "Channel open," confirmed Communications Officer Okafor. "This is Admiral Helena Reyes of the Earth Defense Force vessel Thunderchild. We received your distress signal and have come to offer assistance. We approach in peace and friendship. Please respond." On the main view screen, sensors detected multiple defense platforms activating around the alien world. Whatever these beings were, they were clearly terrified. "No response, Admiral," Okafor reported. "But the energy buildup is increasing. Whatever they're powering up, it's massive." Reyes made a split-second decision. "All ships, maintain position. Power down weapons systems completely. Drop shields." "Admiral," protested Captain Rodriguez, "that leaves us completely vulnerable." "Exactly," Reyes replied calmly. "Sometimes the only way to prove you come in peace is to make yourself vulnerable. These beings are clearly frightened. We need to show them we're not the threat they fear." As the Earth vessels powered down their defensive systems, the view screen suddenly illuminated with the image of a slender, 4-eyed being. Its translucent skin pulsed with patterns of light, and when it spoke, the sound contained harmonics beyond normal human hearing range. The universal translator processed for several seconds before producing words. "You are not Zarn," the alien figure asked, confusion evident despite the translation. Reyes smiled, careful not to show teeth which might be interpreted as aggression. "No, we are humans, from Earth. We received your distress call and came to help." The alien's skin pulsated rapidly. "There was no distress call. We sent warnings to stay away." And in that moment of profound misunderstanding, as relief began to replace fear on both sides, neither the humans nor the Nixians detected the actual threat. A massive vessel silently decelerating behind Nixia's outermost moon, bearing the distinctive predatory design of a Zarn battlecruiser. Unexpected allies. Admiral Reyes stood before the holographic conference display, studying the alien representative with measured curiosity. The being, who had introduced himself as High Elder Zoral, possessed a delicate beauty that belied the advanced technology his civilization commanded. His translucent skin rippled with bioluminescent patterns that the universal translator was still struggling to fully interpret. "So you believed we were these Zarn invaders?" Rise asked, keeping her voice calm and even. "Your vessels appeared without warning at our system boundary," Zorl replied, his four eyes blinking in asynchronous patterns. "The Zarn hegemony nearly destroyed our civilization 3 centuries ago. When unidentified ships approach in formation, our protocols demand defensive measures, and our response to your signals made you think we were hostile," Rise concluded. "A cascade of misunderstandings." Captain Rodriguez leaned closer to Reyes. "Admiral, I recommend maintaining alert status. This could still be an elaborate deception." Reyes acknowledged his concern with a slight nod, but kept her focus on the alien diplomat. First contact situations were delicate enough without adding paranoia to the mix. The Nixians, as they called themselves, appeared genuinely relieved that the Earth vessels weren't the enemies they feared. "High Elder, we came because we interpreted your warning signals as a distress call," Rise explained. "Humanity has a strong ethical principle of rendering aid to those in need, even at risk to ourselves." Zorl's skin flickered with patterns that the translator interpreted as surprise. "You crossed 12 light years to help unknown beings. This is not typical behavior among spacefaring species we have encountered." Dr. Chen, who had been analyzing Nixian biological data, joined the conversation. "Admiral, I believe there's a fundamental difference in perspective at work. Preliminary analysis suggests the Nixians evolved from prey species on their homeworld. Their psychology would naturally emphasize caution and defensive strategies, while humans evolved as pursuit predators," continued Rise, understanding dawning. "Our instincts drive us toward decisive action and intervention." Zorl's translator processed this exchange, and his skin displayed complex patterns. "You classify yourselves as predators." The tension in the virtual conference room increased noticeably. The Nixian delegation's postures shifted subtly, a defensive reaction that needed no translation. "We were," Rise clarified carefully. "Our distant ancestors were. But human civilization has evolved beyond our biological origins. We channel those instincts now toward exploration, protection, and yes, helping others." Before Zorl could respond, an urgent alert sounded. Both human and Nixian communication devices activated simultaneously. "Admiral." Lieutenant Commander Okafor's voice came through with unmistakable urgency. Massive energy signature detected behind the system's outermost moon. A vessel just deactivated some kind of cloaking technology. Chief Observer Thalax's voice overlapped in the Nixian language, which the translator rendered moments later. "Zarn battlecruiser confirmed. They have deployed orbital assault platforms." Zorl's skin paled to an almost transparent state. "They have returned. The Zarn have tracked our long-range communications." Reyes turned to her tactical display. "Show me." The holographic representation shifted to display a massive vessel emerging from behind the gas giant at the edge of the Nixian system. Its design was distinctly predatory, all sharp angles and protruding weapon ports, where the human vessels were sleek and balanced, and the Nixian ships elegant and defensive. This new arrival projected nothing but aggressive intent. "Their weapons systems are powering up," reported Captain Rodriguez. "They're launching smaller craft. Appears to be a planetary assault formation." Wright studied the tactical situation with the cool assessment of someone who had trained her entire life for moments like this. The Nixian defense grid was impressive, but clearly outmatched by the Zarn battlecruiser. The Earth fleet possessed significant firepower, but had never engaged in actual combat against an alien force. "High Elder," Rise addressed Zorl directly. "It seems your warnings were justified after all, just not about us. What can you tell me about Zarn combat capabilities?" Aboard the Zarn battlecruiser Inevitable Conquest, Commander Vrex observed the tactical display with sadistic pleasure. His scaled skin glistened under the ship's harsh lighting, reflecting his excitement at the prospect of finally completing what his ancestors had begun centuries ago. "The Nixian defenses are activating," reported his tactical officer. "Their shield grid is at maximum capacity." As expected, Vrex replied, his forked tongue flicking between pointed teeth. "Begin the standard approach. Deploy harvester units to the colony moons first." "Commander," interrupted his sensor officer with unusual hesitation. "There are unknown vessels in orbit around Nixia Prime. 6 ships of unfamiliar design." Vrex swiveled his armored body toward the main view screen. "Magnify." The image resolved to show the human vessels positioned in defensive formation around the Nixian homeworld. Vrex studied them with cold calculation. The design was unlike anything in Zarn records, compact yet powerful, with propulsion systems that suggested advanced technology. "Analysis of the unknown vessels," he demanded. "Energy readings indicate significant capabilities," his science officer reported. "Hull composition includes elements not present in our database. However, they appear to have powered down weapons systems and shields." Vrex's mouth curled into what passed for a smile among his species. "Interesting. The Nixians have found allies, but foolish ones. Prepare the main cannon. Target the largest of the unknown vessels. Let us educate these newcomers on the price of interfering with Zarn expansion." On the Thunderchild's bridge, tension mounted as the Zarn battlecruiser changed course, clearly preparing to attack. "They're targeting us directly," announced Tactical Officer Levitt. "Energy buildup in what appears to be their main weapon system." Reyes had spent the last 10 minutes absorbing everything High Elder Zorl could tell her about Zarn capabilities and tactics. The picture wasn't encouraging. The Zarn were conquerors who had subjugated dozens of species across 3 star systems. They struck without warning or negotiation, their only communication being demands for complete surrender. "All ships, reactivate defensive systems," Reyes ordered. "Form Aegis perimeter around Nixia Prime. Lieutenant Okafor, open a channel to the Zarn vessel." "Channel open, Admiral." Reyes straightened her uniform. "This is Admiral Helena Reyes of the Earth Defense Force. You are entering protected space. We request you state your intentions and stand down weapons immediately." The response came in the form of a massive energy discharge from the Zarn vessel, a searing beam of concentrated plasma that streaked toward the Thunderchild. "Evasive maneuvers," shouted Captain Rodriguez. Navigator Park's hands flew over her controls, and the massive Earth vessel pivoted with surprising agility. The plasma beam grazed their reinforced hull, superheating the outer armor layer but failing to penetrate. "Minimal damage to sectors 7 through 9, reported engineering. "Shields holding at 89%. On the main view screen, the image of a reptilian being appeared, scales gleaming, eyes vertical slits of cold malice. "I am Commander Vrex of the Zarn Hegemony," the alien announced, its translator rendering the hissing speech into harsh, clipped syllables. "You protect property of the Hegemony. The Nixian worlds were claimed by right of conquest 3 centuries ago. Your interference is noted and will be punished." Reyes met the alien commander's gaze without flinching. "The Nixians are a free people under the protection of Earth. We have no quarrel with the Zarn, but we will defend this system against unprovoked aggression." Vrex's expression didn't change, but his tone conveyed dismissive amusement. "You are an unknown species with primitive vessels. Your destruction will be instructive to others who might consider defying the hegemony." The transmission cut off abruptly as the Zarn vessel launched dozens of smaller craft toward both the human fleet and Nixia Prime. "They're deploying fighter squadrons and what appear to be troop transports," reported Levitt. "Multiple targeting solutions locking onto our vessels and the planet's surface." Reyes nodded grimly. "Deploy interceptors. Authorization for full defensive measures. Captain Rodriguez, you have tactical command of the fleet. Commander Park, bring us into position to intercept that battlecruiser." As the bridge crew sprang into action, Science Officer Chen approached the Admiral. "The Nixians are activating something they call the Ancestral Protocol. Energy readings are off the charts, like nothing I've ever seen. Let's hope it's as powerful as they believe, Rise replied, because we're about to find out what Earth vessels can really do in combat. Chief Observer Thalax stood in the sacred chamber deep beneath Nixia Prime's surface. Around him, ancient technology hummed to life, systems designed centuries ago by the greatest Nixian scientists during the darkest days of the first Zarn invasion. Ancestral protocol activation at 80%, reported the technician beside him. Quantum alignment stabilizing. Thalax watched as the massive crystal at the center of the chamber began to glow with inner light. The ancestral protocol was their civilization's greatest secret and final defense, a system that could theoretically harness the quantum properties of their sun itself, focusing its energy through artificial wormholes. Will it be enough? Asked Counselor Ixel, who had joined him in the chamber. Alone? Perhaps not, Thalax admitted. But with these humans, he left the thought unfinished. The humans were unlike any species the Nixians had encountered. Where most advanced civilizations grew cautious with age, humans seemed to combine sophisticated technology with a startling willingness to take risks. And their ships, designed with both science and war in mind, moved with precision that spoke of long preparation for combat. These humans, Ixel observed quietly. They evolved as predators, yet they came to help prey. What does that tell us about them? That perhaps, Thalax replied, the universe is more complex than our binary understanding of hunter and hunted. Above them, the battle for Nixia Prime had begun. The space around Nixia Prime erupted in a dazzling display of advanced weaponry as Earth vessels engaged the Zarn attackers. The EDF Thunderchild led the defense, its point defense systems creating a wall of intercepting fire that vaporized the first wave of Zarn fighters. Their technology is advanced but predictable, Captain Rodriguez observed as tactical data streamed in. They rely on overwhelming force rather than adaptability. Rise nodded. Typical of long-established conquerors, when you've dominated for centuries, innovation becomes less necessary. She turned to communications. Status of the Nixian defense grid. Online and coordinating with our targeting systems, Okafor reported. The Nixians are quick learners. They've already adapted their shield frequencies to complement ours. On the main view screen, Earth interceptors engaged with Zarn fighters in a deadly dance. What the human craft lacked in raw power, they made up for in maneuverability and tactical flexibility. The Zarn clearly hadn't expected such effective resistance. Their formations began to show signs of disorder. Admiral, called Dr. Chen from her science station. I'm detecting a massive energy buildup from the planet's surface. It appears the Nixians are channeling power directly from their sun through some kind of quantum network. Before Rais could respond, a brilliant beam of concentrated stellar energy lanced up from Nixia Prime's surface, cutting through space to strike the Zarn battlecruiser. The massive vessel's shields flared brilliantly as they attempted to dissipate the incredible energy. Their shields are holding, reported Tactical, but they're redirecting power from weapons to compensate. Now's our chance, Rice decided. All vessels, targeted strike on the Zarn battlecruiser's main power conduits. Fire on my mark. As the Earth fleet moved into position, the Zarn commander must have recognized the threat. The battlecruiser began to turn, attempting to bring its main cannon to bear on the Nixian power installation. They're targeting the Ancestral Protocol facility, warned Science Officer Chen. If they hit it during activation sequence, they won't get the chance, Rise replied firmly. All vessels, fire. 6 Earth ships unleashed their primary weapons simultaneously, each targeting a different vulnerability on the massive Zarn vessel. The synchronized attack overwhelmed the battlecruiser's already strained shields, and brilliant explosions blossomed across its hull as critical systems failed. Direct hits on all targets, reported Tactical. Their power grid is fluctuating. Main weapon system offline. On the view screen, the wounded battlecruiser began to withdraw, recalling its fighter squadrons as it limped toward the system boundary. The smaller Zarn vessels formed a protective screen around their flagship. "They're retreating," announced Captain Rodriguez, unable to keep a note of triumph from his voice. "For now," Rice cautioned, "but they'll be back, and with reinforcements." She turned to communications. "Open a channel to High Elder Zorl." When the Nixian leader's image appeared on screen, his skin pulsated with patterns that needed no translation: gratitude and amazement. "You have done the impossible," Zorl said. "No one has ever driven back a Zarn battlecruiser." "We had help," Rise acknowledged. "Your ancestral protocol is quite impressive, as are your ships and tactics," Zorl replied. "For centuries, my people believed we were alone against the darkness. We never imagined that help would come from predators." Rise smiled gently. "Perhaps it's time to move beyond those categories, High Elder. Predator and prey are biological roles, but civilization gives us the chance to become something more: partners, allies, friends." Zorl's skin displayed complex patterns as he considered her words. "The Zarn will return. They never abandon a conquest. Then Earth and Nixia will be ready," Rice stated with quiet confidence. Together. 3 weeks later, Admiral Rice stood in the grand chamber of the Nixian Council, the first human to be granted such an honor. Around her, representatives from both civilizations worked together, sharing knowledge and technology in preparation for the inevitable Zarn counterattack. "The defense grid upgrades are proceeding ahead of schedule," reported Captain Rodriguez. "The Nixian engineers are remarkably adaptable, and our ships are being retrofitted with elements of their quantum communication technology," added Dr. Chen. "We'll be able to coordinate across much greater distances now." High Elder Zorl approached, his movements more relaxed than during their first encounters. The Nixians had gradually become accustomed to the human presence, their initial fear giving way to cautious appreciation. "The Celestial Accord has responded to our communications," Zorl announced. 3 other species who have suffered Zarn aggression are sending representatives. Your demonstration of successful resistance has inspired them." Reyes nodded thoughtfully. "From misunderstanding to alliance in less than a month. The universe works in unexpected ways, High Elder." "Indeed," Zorl agreed, his skin displaying what the humans had learned to recognize as amusement. "When we sent those warning signals, we never imagined we were actually calling for exactly the help we needed." Outside the council chamber, through the massive crystalline windows, Earth vessels patrolled alongside Nixian ships, their complementary designs reflecting the beginning of a partnership neither species had anticipated. Beyond them, the stars stretched infinitely, some harboring threats, others potential allies, all waiting to be discovered. The accidental first contact had become humanity's first step into a much larger community, and when the Zarn returned, they would find not the isolated prey they expected, but a united force combining the Nixians' defensive genius with humanity's protective instincts. Deathworlders who had chosen to use their predatory heritage not to conquer, but to defend. As plans were made and alliances formed, a simple truth emerged. In the vastness of space, the strongest force wasn't fear or power, but cooperation between those different enough to complement each other's strengths, yet similar enough to share common cause. The story of Earth and Nixia was just beginning, but already it promised to change the galaxy forever.